What's up, ladies and gents? This is Casey Kid, coming at you with another Destiny video. Yesterday we had stream 3 of the Bungie reveal stream for the April update, and wow, we got a lot of information. The stream was an hour long, and I went ahead and put it up yesterday in case anybody missed it. You can go ahead and watch that. You could go watch it on Bungie's Twitch channel, whatever suits your fancy. So what I wanted to do today was talk about some of my thoughts, my own personal opinions on the update, on the things that we saw. Now, I was actually hoping that we were going to receive the patch notes to get some in-depth details of this, but unfortunately we didn't. Bungie didn't release those yet, though for all my luck, they're probably releasing it right now as I'm recording this video. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, I want to say that these are my own personal opinions, and I'm kind of going off the top of my head of some of the things that really stood out to me. And again, these are my opinions. I'm thinking about my own personal experience. I'm thinking about the experience for the players that play a lot of Destiny, a whole lot of Destiny, that play it for many hours a day, multiple days a week. And I'm also thinking about the experiences of the slightly more casual players or the players that might play during the weekend. And whenever I think about all these things in all the different game modes in Destiny, it's a big task. It is a big task. There's absolutely no way that Bungie or any designer is going to be able to fit everything under one neat umbrella to make everybody happy. It's just not feasible. So I understand if there are things that you're really, really upset about. I understand if there are things that you completely disagree with me about. And I understand if you agree with me on something. So that's just something to keep in mind as we go through this. Now, for starters, one of the best things that's come from this April update is that Bungie is looking for ways to make the single player be able to hit that max level. So aside from going into the Prison of Elders, we're now also able to get up to 335 light gear from doing Shaxx's weekly bounties. Now, I've been putting up videos of me going through and doing these weekly bounties. The fact that you can get gear up to light level 335 from doing these bounties on your own is really nice. This means that you're going to be able to get Crucible gear, whether it be weapons or armor, that are up to 335 light. And being that the infusion system is now 1-for-1, you can get 3 pieces of gear that might potentially be 335. They're probably not, because you're still going to be subject to RNG, but you still should get some decent light level gear 3 times per week on your characters if you do all those Crucible bounties. If you just play Crucible on your own, you can go ahead and complete those and get some nice gear that you can level up with. So that's really nice. That's a really nice thing. But whenever we go into Crucible, we have a few more issues, and we're just going to start taking things one by one. Let's start off with some of the Crucible updates. Let's talk about the revives. So revives are now increased as far as the amount of time it's going to take to revive somebody, and you can no longer wear your Light Beyond Nemesis or Alpha Loopies to run through and revive a character. Now, there are Trials players that are ecstatic about this. For me, I'm saying, what's the point of these exotic items now? There's literally no point and no reason for you to be wearing these exotic armor pieces anymore. They are completely useless. And as much as it was frustrating to go against a team that had all of these quick revive armors, it was just a part of the game. For them to put those on, that meant that they were sacrificing something else. For instance, if I was on my Titan, instead of wearing an Armamentarium or a Twilight Garrison, I had on an Alpha Loopy. And that meant that I was sacrificing either mobility or an extra grenade for that quick revive. Now I don't even need to make that choice. So I'm really against that. I really think that that was a mistake. Not to mention, they now upped the timers from 5 seconds to 7 seconds on a death. And to me, despite all the sniper nerfs, to me, this is going to make snipers even more overpowered in Trials of Osiris. Even more ridiculously overpowered. And we did our top 5 Trials of Osiris weapons. And the 1,000-yard stare was the unquestioned, unmitigated king of Trials of Osiris. Because you stay back, you one-shot kill an enemy, and you're in good shape. Well, now, the opposing team isn't going to have that 5-second delay before being able to revive their teammate. They're going to have to wait 7 seconds, which means that the sniper team is going to have even a bigger advantage. So, wow, if they were really concerned about sniper rifles in their PvP game mode, and really, it's only a huge problem in Trials of Osiris, if they were concerned about that, all they did was actually give a bigger benefit to the snipers. So just something to think about. It's not something that I think I've heard a lot of people talking about. I think snipers are going to be even more powerful than they are right now, and I think it's actually going to promote even a more campy 3v3 Trials of Osiris elimination type gameplay. So Bungie is also really concerned about special ammo. They're trying to find ways for people not to kill with special weapons. They took away all our special ammo. We found workarounds in the manner of icebreaker and sidearms, and now Bungie's like, you know what, forget it. We're going to give you your special ammo, we're going to make the special ammo boxes spawn in at 3 minutes, and every 2 minutes after that. But they're saying that if you swap from an icebreaker over to another weapon, you're going to lose all your special ammo. That's their way to not let you regenerate your ammo, swap weapons, and do all the things like that. And okay, that's kind of a cheap little workaround to getting your special ammo fixes in PvP. But here's my question, and something that I'm very fearful of, something they didn't mention on stream, something I haven't seen anybody talk about yet. What about in PvE? They already lowered the reserve of all the special ammo in PvP and PvE, so now you have less special ammo in PvE. What about the weapon swapping in PvE? Because I have a strong feeling that in PvE it's going to work exactly the same. Just like, do you remember back whenever we had the heavy ammo glitch, where whenever you swapped your heavy weapons you were losing your heavy ammo? I have a feeling we're going to see the exact same thing happening with our special ammo in PvE. And that's a huge shame. That's why there are PvE players that are really complaining, because that's not okay. That is absolutely not okay. I really don't think that the special ammo should be lowered in PvE anyway. I'm really against that. I think that is a bad decision. That's a bad game design decision. I'm also against the heavy ammo change that they put in the Crucible as well. I know all the sweaty players don't like heavy ammo. I understand that. And me, I've been blasted and killed by truths countless times. I've been on the end of machine gun sprees countless times. But heavy ammo is just a part of the game. Heavy ammo in the most competitive aspect of Destiny, Trials of Osiris, happens once. It happens once, and players can even waive that off with a little gentleman's agreement. They can waive it off. Aside from that, the only other competitive type PvP game mode is Iron Banner, and whether you consider that competitive or not is certainly up for debate. But I just don't see a huge problem with heavy ammo. It's a part of the game for me. For me, lowering it, getting rid of it, makes me feel like I'm just having a waste of a gun slot. It makes me feel like there's just a complete waste of a gun slot now. Because one time for heavy ammo, how many times do you go towards heavy ammo and you're waiting around for a box maybe, or you're running towards a box and one of your teammates grabs a box, you don't end up getting it, and that's the end of it? What about all of those heavy ammo bounties that you need to have, whether it be an Iron Banner or just in general? You're not going to be able to be getting those as easy anymore. What about your bounties with the swords where you need to get sword kills? That's going to be really difficult to get with only the hilt to use. So I'm not a fan of stuff like that. I am not a fan of that. So I'm probably in the minority there, but I think it's just a part of the game. Heavy ammo should be in PvP. It should just be where it is. Trials of Osiris is fine. 1 round of heavy, that's it. Everything else should have just been left the same with heavy ammo. Oh, and as I think about it right now, what happens if I'm in a match with a shotgun and I decide, you know what, shotgun's not working for me, I want to swap to a sniper. Now I have to suddenly work with 0 special ammo? Yeah, that's a problem. That is not a good thing. That is really hampering your ability to change and adapt on the fly. I don't like it. I do not like where they're going with these ammo changes. I think that they're messing things up, trying to micromanage things far too much. Speaking of some other changes, we got some changes to weapons. MIDA Multi-Tool got its hidden high caliber round perks taken away. And we all know from that top 10 Iron Banner video, MIDA is king. And like I've said to many people that have asked about the MIDA, is MIDA OP? It's really not, and I do agree with Bungie on that. As far as the card goes, MIDA's not OP. There's nothing with MIDA that it does that you're like, oh man, this is just the craziest thing in the world. It's not like it shoots Wolfpack rounds. It's not like it burns with Thorn or anything like that. It's just a very good and solid card. This is their way to kind of tweak it a little bit. I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think MIDA is going to be just fine. As far as some other exotics that are looking interesting, Hawkmoon is getting a buff to range, which is really nice, though hand cannons in general, they did not get a range buff. I really thought that hand cannons were going to get a range buff. Instead, they're actually getting a buff to something that's going to help in PvE, one of the very, very few PvE positive buffs, in that you'll actually be able to carry more reserve ammo for the hand cannon. So I think that is a really good thing. Also, our favorite exotic hand cannon, the Thorn, it got its Thorn burn damage changed a little bit. I think it's going to work. I think it looks pretty positive. I think in PvP, that's pretty solid. While still making it feel good, I think it won't be as OP feeling. And the last word, the unquestioned killing machine of PvP that barely anybody talks about, it actually got its special perk lowered as far as the damage it deals, so you can't get those really close, really quick two-shot headshot kills. So those are just some other interesting things for exotic weapons. Also, the Drake's Promise, that was the highlight of the weapon stream for me. I love the look of that. I always like sidearms. I'm definitely going to be putting this on because, one, it looks amazing, and two, that tracking, that looks like a lot of fun. Also, fusion rifles. Fusion rifles are getting a stability increase, which is nice. I always like to try out fusion rifles. I'm still not very good with them, but that's a nice thing. And even though it's not being brought into year 2, as far as we know, that's also going to affect the Vex Mythic class. So that's going to be a nice thing. Just something else to keep in mind, because the Vex is always a lot of fun to use. Also, on the auto rifle front, my favorites, the Doctrine, the Arminius, they are getting nerfed to their damage, which makes sense based on what people were complaining about, and they are very, very good, especially with the counterbalance, as we've said before. But we don't exactly know what the damage nerf is going to be. Will it be 0.04%? Will it be more than that? Which would be really strange considering that they wanted to buff auto rifles. They wanted to buff it 0.04%, and then a few weeks later they're ready to nerf it. So, I don't know, that would be a little bit strange. I really didn't notice anything with the damage numbers that made it seem like it was something crazy. We'll have to wait and see. The slower rate of fire auto rifles, though, they are getting a damage increase, so that is nice. And of course, the sniper rifles got nerfed in a number of areas. Snapshot's going to be slower, 20% instead of 30% increase to your aiming down the sights. Your aiming down the sights is going to have an extra 2 frames to it. And the shorter range zooms, the ones that everybody loves to use, like short gaze, are actually having their zoom distance increased. So it's going to be trickier to use it from the mid-range, which is probably a good thing, because so many people are using sniper rifles like scout rifles, and Bungie obviously wants to make sniper rifles be used at a further distance. So I don't think this is actually going to kill sniper rifles at all. I think the people that are good with sniper rifles are still going to be very, very good with sniper rifles. One other thing, with the overshield changes, how they're actually lower overshield whenever you get rezzed, will that allow other sniper rifles to actually res snipe? That's something to keep in mind, because that might be something that lets people start picking something else, and 1,000 Yard Stare won't reign king. Just something to keep in mind, something to look out for. Also, finally, we received a number of Warlock changes. Now, will other subclasses receive a change, nerf, or buff? I don't know, it's possible. It just might be the case that the Warlocks received the most changes, and that's why they focused on them for the stream. As far as buffs, the Voidwalker looks like it got buffed. It looks like it received a number of buffs. We don't know exactly what, because they were pretty general with it, but it looked a lot of fun with the energy drain effect going on. Seeing that grenade increase really quickly whenever you used it, the energy drain was just going off and boom, that grenade was recharging really quickly. That looked like a lot of fun, though. If I do spec into a build like that, it means I would have to lose my favorite perk in Bloom. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what this is all about, because, like I said, they were very, very general with what was actually going on and not specific as far as numbers go at all. The Stormcaller looks like it received a nerf as well. Bungie did say that the Stormcaller in general was in a pretty good place, and it really kind of was. If anything, it was actually a little bit lacking. The super, very good, but the neutral game, pretty bad, mainly because the grenades for the Stormcaller are all pretty terrible. Now, if the arc bolts were like they used to be back in year 1, I wouldn't be saying that. But yeah, Stormcaller in general, its neutral game, pretty lackluster. But what they ended up doing was tweaking Transcendence, which is something I saw coming a mile away. Basically, to everybody's happiness, the Stormcaller super should last a shorter period of time than it does whenever you pop it with Transcendence. And that should make a lot of people happy. What won't make people happy is the Sunsinger. For starters, Firebolts are unchanged. Bungie basically said to tweak firebolts means they have to tweak the entire class. And I can see that. I really can kind of see that. Though at the same time, what would have been the change if you did something to firebolt like you did with the Thorn and lowering the pulse? Though I guess if you did that, you're pretty much kind of nerfing it and making it something that might be unusable. So, I don't know. In general, I'm okay with the Sunsinger. Really, the problem with the Sunsinger is in 3v3 game mode. In 6's, Sunsinger, really not a problem. It's only in that ultra competitive game mode, and again, if you're just tweaking for that one particular area, you're hurting the 6v6, you're hurting the PvE. So it's again one of those juggling acts where you can't do everything. You can't focus solely on that ultra competitive game mode, that one type of player, and then hurt the subclass in general for all the other players. That's something that I know a lot of people, specifically YouTubers, streamers, other ultra-competitive players, that's something that they don't want to hear, but it's something you have to live with, because those of us who do things like this, we are a minority. We might play a lot, we might really be into and invested in the game, but we're a much smaller aggregate number than the general base, so just something to keep in mind. They are doing some other things. They're trying to tone down the Scorch for the overshield that you end up getting. They want to make people pick some other potential melee options. I don't know that they actually will, but they're actually trying. Similarly with the Fireborn perk, they say everybody's using it. No kidding. And whenever you're using Fireborn, your radiance will actually go down quicker, so you won't be able to utilize your grenade spamming as much. If you don't pick Fireborn, you'll be able to throw out an extra grenade or two. So we'll have to wait and see what's going on with that, but I know everybody was hoping for that Firebolt nerf. When that didn't come, people were really upset, and I understand that. Again, I understand where it's coming from. I understand why it's coming. Firebolts don't kill people, though. Rushing in after you've been hit by a firebolt kills you. Or getting rushed by the opposing team, which is, again, the problem. I understand. I understand the problem. You don't have to go through the comments and complain why firebolts are really difficult to deal with, because they are. Especially if you're going against a 3-person team of Sunsingers with firebolt grenades and the burn. They are tricky. But it's not changing, so we're just going to have to adapt and live with it. Again, good things in this update, bad things in this update. Good things are going to be happening. I think that these ammo changes, though, those are my biggest problem. Those are definitely my biggest problem, the ammo changes. I think they're kind of hurting the other aspects of the game. I think they're focused just a little bit too much on that, and I'm worried that it's going to hurt things in the long run. I think Bungie's going to have to go back to the drawing board with the ammo, because I think it's hurting PvE, and I think it's going to hurt the other PvP avenues that aren't ultra competitive. Just my opinion. Anyway, there is so much to that update. There's so much to this video. Holy crap, we're going on 18 minutes right now. So I'm going to cut it out here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, your April update, and I'll see you around in Destiny. Oh, special ammo, where art thou?